We are weeks away from the end of the Grammy eligibility period, so what's going to be nominated in those top slots, and even more important, what's going to win? Quintale, Forte, and Troy Escamilla. Help me with your names, guys. Pronounce them for me.
You got mine right. It's Quintale Forte.
Okay, and Troy?
Escamilla.
Okay, we got it.
Yep,
known as Troy and the message boards, and Quintale is Music Forever. So they've distinguished themselves with all their posts about Grammys. Now we want them to show their faces and go out on those limbs and tell us what's going to be nominated for Album of the Year. I have their predictions side by side here, and they agree on all of the following, which is very interesting. They agree on Beyonce. Or no, they don't agree on Beyonce. Yes, they do. They agree on Beyonce. They agree on Jack White's Lazaretto. They agree on the Frozen soundtrack. And they agree on Sam Smith in The Lonely Hour. Now, the disagreement is, Troy, you've got Pharrell, his Girl album for that fifth slot, and Quintale has Sia, 1,000 Forms of Fear. You first, Troy. Why Pharrell over Sia?
I love Sia. It's a great album. But I mean, Pharrell had a huge hit, an undeniable hit this year with Happy. And I think that's just kind of going to carry over into the Album of the Year slot. You know, they like to, Grammys, they like to, have a representation from each of the different, genres. And I think, Beyonce, yeah, she's going to take the contemporary R&B slot, but I think that, they're not going to. Pharrell, I mean, he's a producer. He's worked with, countless artists. I think that it's going to carry him into getting that fifth Album of the Year slot. Yeah, the album might not have sold as well, but either did Sia. I mean, let's. But
wasn't the album all about the song, though? I like your point about producer. I think that could push him over because he's crossover from
exposure. He's gonna be getting exposure right at the right time with being a judge on The Voice. I mean.
Oh, that's another point. Okay. All right. So Quintale, what do you say about that? Let's start with Pharrell. Why not Pharrell?
Well, it's one of those situations where the song was bigger than the album. I mean, look at Robin Thicke last year with Blurred Lines. Huge song, but he didn't get an Album of the Year. I believe Blurred Lines was just as big as Happy. I don't see, had he followed up with another hit, Happy, I would be more convinced that he would get an Album of the Year. Right now, I'm not sold on Album of the Year.
All right, so then convince us of Sia. Why that choice?
Well, she has a lot of industry buzz right now. She's just surprised with a BMA nomination. She's also a singer-songwriter. She's written for many pop divas, and every year there's that one person who shows up, like Sarah last year, where we're like, how did this happen? So I think Sia might be that choice. Her album was, I think it did well with critics, and a lot of people are starting to realize her now, really get wind of her, and I think she's going to pull through at the Grammy this year in a big way. And I'm not a huge fan, but she seems very Grammy-based.
Okay. What do you have to say about that, Troy?
I agree. Great points. But I think in the end, when you have, the Blue Ribbon panel sitting around and they're making the decision, like I said, Pharrell, yeah, you're very true. The album did not have a big follow-up after Happy, but I think Happy was huge enough to keep at least him it's kind of at the forefront. The Robin Thicke thing I really don't get because Robin Thicke has, Pharrell has been in the industry for a long time. I understand Robin Thicke has too, but Pharrell has been in the industry for a long time and worked with a lot of different artists, including Robin Thicke.
So, but let's also note that Pharrell just dominated the Grammys this year and won Album of the Year with Daft Punk. So are they really in a rush to give him an Album of the Year nomination again?
Possibly for solo. I mean,
I don't know. I don't see. I think it's a situation where the song was huge. We're going to give it a Record of the Year nomination, Song of the Year nomination, and congrats.
But what's wrong with that argument? Let me tell you right there, is that you've got Frozen soundtrack, both of you nominated there. So Quintale, why doesn't that same logic apply there? That album was all about the song, right?
No. That album is the biggest selling album of the year. It sold 5 million worldwide. I think it's reaching 3 million domestically.
But still, the music of that film is mostly almost about that song, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so.
I think they buy the whole soundtrack because it's daddy buying it for his daughter who's obsessed with the show. But anyway, who's gonna win, Quintale?
Ugh.
You really believe that Beyonce can do it, right? That's where I'm going with this.
I'm not sold, but I believe Beyonce is going to put it up. I'm not 100% sold because we've seen the pop divas lose here, like Mariah Carey. Like, so many people with bigger albums have lost. I'm not sold, but I feel, I don't know. I'm rooting for Beyonce. I think she's going to put it on.
Yeah, Troy's got some bad news for you. Deliver it right now, Troy.
What's the bad news, Troy?
Well,
what is the bad news?
If you follow my posts in the forum, you know that I'm kind of like the sole anti-Beyonce winning album of the year person in there. And it's not because I dislike Beyonce. Actually, Partition is one of my favorite songs of the year. I think people want to jump on Beyonce and say, oh, she's going to win because she's Beyonce. She has 17 Grammys, even though most of them are in the R&B, categories. Yes, she won Song of the Year.
She won other genres too. In general.
Oh yeah, I know, but she won Song of the Year for Single Ladies. The album has not had any huge hits. It sold well, but
Struck in Love was a huge hit for her.
Well, I mean, it wasn't Single Ladies. It wasn't,
No.
No, it wasn't. So I mean, but I think people need to remember the history of this category. I think you're doing yourself a grave disservice if you don't look back at every single type of artist, Herbie Hancock, all these people, Ray Charles, that have won Album of the Year.
Steely Dan, right? All that stuff.
Beyonce's album, as good as it may be, releasing it without any press and just throwing it out there with a visual aid, with each of the songs.
That was huge for her.
It was huge. That was a great marketing, great thing for her to do. However, the majority of the voters, I just don't think. Unfortunately, urban contemporary R&B does not do well in this category. And I think if they have an alternative, like they do with who I think is probably going to win, they're gonna jump on it. Because think about it.
I'm sorry to cut you off. But are we still putting Beyonce in the R&B box? I mean, she's still a pop star. She's huge. It's not like she's just this R&B singer.
Well, I know. I understand that. And I think that, and part of me, I don't want to get into this whole argument now, but I think that Beyonce's mega superstar status could actually hurt her as well in this category. Because, again, like we had discussed, the Grammys like to be, they like to choose these kind of eclectic winners. They'll nominate these huge artists like Mariah Carey, and but they never let them win. It's always the underdog or the alternative rock or the what's the word? Conservative choice like the Adele.
Yes, safe choice, which I'll get to later.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
I think what helps Beyonce also with Album of the Year is this is the first album that she released where it is completely about the album, not the promotion, not the singles, not the music videos. This is 100% about the album. She surprised everyone and dropped it at midnight. I really believe she has a strong shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't buy it. I think you've admitted you're rooting for Quintale. I think that
of course I'm rooting for her to. I'm rooting for her to win, but I also think she has a strong shot at winning.
People are acting like Beyonce is like, oh, she's overdue for Album of the Year. This is only her second Album of the Year nomination. It's not like she's, Mariah Carey, Lady Gaga. She's not on her fifth or sixth Album of the Year. This is her second Album of the Year nomination.
No, I don't think she's overdue for Album of the Year. But I do think Beyonce does have the Album of the Year. 10 years from now, when we look back, I think we're going to be thinking about her album more than any of the others.
I don't think we'll be talking about the album or the songs. I think we're going to be talking about how the album was released. There's a difference.
Which still has to do with the album.
Yeah, but not.
I mean, she started a
quality of the album, though. It's all.
So Troy, what's going to win? Who's going to win?
The album got great reviews.
It did, but
her best reviewed album.
And we're still. Well, that's not. I mean.
So who wins here? You intimated a few seconds ago, Troy, that you think you know who's going to win. Who wins?
In my lineup of who I have as my predictions, I would say that the winner would be Jack White, Lazaretto. It's right up the voters' alleys. Jack White, again, in the industry a long time, was with a huge critically acclaimed band, the White Stripes. His last album got an Album of the Year nomination. He worked with Loretta Lynn. I mean, Van Leer Rose. That's going to give him kind of that country block. I really see that if Grammy voters, and we know the typical Grammy voter, if they sit down and are listening to these albums, or even just by name, you know, I don't know. I don't know. You know, we always talk about the Grammy voters being conservative, you know, old white men. I don't know if they're going to jump on Beyonce's song about going down on Jay-Z. I just don't see, you know, and
that's true.
Her album is very sexually charged. Yeah, there's a few good. Pretty Hurts, very powerful song. XO, very beautiful, you know, pop ballad. But you have to sift through a lot of sexually charged stuff to get to those few things. I think Jack White, again, he's been in the industry a long time. The White Stripes had, you know, massive critical acclaim. You know, like I said, working with Loretta Lynn got him a kind of a whole new level of respect, I think. Who would ever thought that pairing would have, you know, worked as well as it did?
Tell veterans usually win here, right?
Well, wouldn't we call Beyonce a veteran by now? I mean, she comes from a popular group just like him back in the 90s with her, so she's going on 20 years. I think she's a veteran. You can make that argument for her.
I don't think she's perceived. I think you're making a good case for it, but I don't think she's perceived that way.
I also don't think. I mean, I also think in the same sense when we think of it, you know, I think Beyonce, she has 17 Grammys, for crying out loud. I mean, I know that Grammy voters don't sit there and think, well, how many Grammys does this person have? How many Grammys does this person have? Although sometimes they do. Look at Santana. I mean, when he won all of his Grammys in one night.
Oh yeah.
If you, I don't see them feeling that they have to give Beyonce Album of the Year when she has 17 Grammys, you know, already. I just think, again, we've seen it over and over again. Arcade Fire, Steely Dan. These type of artists are the ones who win Album of the Year. Unless you have a very, you know, an album like The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which was just a groundbreaking album lyrically. Everything that went into that album was just, I mean, that was a groundbreaking album. You couldn't really deny that, right? I mean, I think you can deny, you know, Beyonce's album as good as reviews as it got. I don't
Troy,
know.
let's face it. You denied Beyonce a nomination for Record of the Year. You guys agree on 4 to 5 slots. You do not even have poor Beyonce in there for Record of the Year. Just admit it. You've got a vendetta against her. What gives? Why don't you have? Why can't you just give her that Drunken Love and get over it?
And Beyonce has been nominated for Record of the Year a few times.
I understand that, but Drunken Love.
Yes.
And I know songs have been nominated that are far more, you know, than that, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it with.
That's not an answer. I don't see it. Why don't you see it?
Because there's alternatives. You have. I forgot. Who do you have for record? I think we match on Record of the Year.
Yeah, he's got Rude Magic in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh God no. Oh God no.
No, actually think about it. That's just the type of song that gets nominated in this category. It was a #1 hit. It has that kind of throwback, folksy feel that the voters eat up. I think that.
Are we even sure that Rude is going to get nominated in pop group?
Am I what? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Are we sure that it's going to get in pop group, let alone Record of the Year?
It was #1 hit. I mean, there's kind of slim pickings this year, I think. So. And that was the one I put in there that I was questioning whether I should or not. But it just, for me, you listen to the song, as terrible as you might think the song is, I think it's just right up the alley of the type of stuff that gets nominated. It has just kind of, like I said, that throwback, very folksy type feel to it, and I think that appeal, and I think that it was a kind of a surprise #1 hit too. Who thinks a song like that these days gets, reaches #1? So I mean, I put it on there kind of hesitantly, but Drunken Love, I don't know. I just couldn't put it on there because I don't think that it's necessary.
Well, Quintale knows, and you say it's going to be nominated, right? Make your case.
Yes. Well, that song was everywhere. Beyonce is known to get nominated for Record of the Year when she has a huge album and when she has a huge single. Every time she has a huge album, she gets the Record of the Year. The first album, Crazy in Love. The second album, Irreplaceable. I Am Sasha Fierce, she got in for Single Ladies. Forte kind of underperformed, so she didn't get a record of the year. This was seen as her comeback album. So I'm very strong with her getting a record of the year. It's going to happen.
Okay, so run through your full lineup then, Quintale.
Okay, so for record of the year, I have "Drunken Love" by Beyonce, "Stay With Me" by Sam Smith, "Chandelier" by Sia, and "Fancy" by Iggy Azalea, "Happy" by Pharrell Williams.
Okay, so size up those 5 for us. How does that race stack up?
Well, "Stay With Me," I think we can all agree that this is probably the biggest lock in this category for record of the year. Singer, songwriter, huge record, soul singer from the UK. He's right up their alley. Sia, same thing. She's a singer, songwriter. I'm not as confident with Sia getting a record of the year. They may throw her in song of the year. I can see that happening. "Fancy" by Iggy Azalea. Okay, so every so often they nominate the song of the summer. If you dominate throughout the entire summer, you look at "I Got a Feeling," "Crazy in Love," "We Belong Together," "Rolling in the Deep," "Blur Line." They love the song of the summer, and Billboard just called this song 2014 Song of the Summer. You know, this is her breakout year. I think she's safer in the record of the year than Best New Artist, to be honest. And do I even have to explain "Happy"?
Right.
We might as well just, I don't even have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, Troy, give us your perspective on all this.
I completely agree with him. I think that "Stay With Me" is a given. I mean, it's the male version of "Rolling in the Deep" in terms of, I mean, it really is. So I think that's a sure bet. Sam Smith is going to probably end up being one of the most nominated artists, at the Grammys this year. He's just exactly what they love to eat up. "Chandelier" is, I'm a little partial because it's probably my favorite song of the year. Just a beautiful, beautiful vocal, beautiful song, beautiful arrangement. I just think that it's gonna, Sia, like we talked about earlier. She's a songwriter. She's written some songs for some pretty popular people. Now this is the first song that she's ever had solo that's really made a big splash. I think I'm pretty confident she's gonna get in. "Happy." As annoying as that song has become, it's not gonna be forgotten. It's gonna get in.
You can't deny that.
No, you can't. And again, Pharrell, I think he's kind of putting himself out there at the right time with the whole voice judging thing and all that stuff. So he's gonna probably rack up some nominations. And "Fancy," again, people have made the argument that songs such as this have been snubbed in the past, but I just think it's sort of like "Happy," where it's just one of those songs that you cannot deny was a song of the year, record of the year. You just, as much as it might pain some people to admit that, everybody is going around singing "I'm so fancy." All right. I mean,
I also want to add that with "Drunken Love," back to "Drunken Love" argument, Beyonce and Jay-Z has been in the headlines all summer. They had a huge, huge, huge tour that grossed over $100 million. That also might help. They might want to give them a nomination together.
But looking back on last year, nobody foresaw the Daft Punk thing across the board like that, right? I mean, we thought maybe they could get in for record. What was it, record or album or something? But nobody foresaw what was that sweep that eventually happened. Who is this year's Daft Punk who could come out of the blue and just blow it away and shock us all?
Sia.
Yeah.
I think it's Sia. We're talking about Sam Smith. We're talking about Beyonce. Come nomination night, she might clean up. I think she has a strong shot at surprising everyone Grammy night.
But let's say, who could it be this year's Daft Punk among the veterans?
Well,
because we know how these nominations are made. They're made by a committee of 25 people who wall themselves up in a hotel suite corridor for a weekend. They claim, listen to the top 20 vote getters in these top categories and then discuss among themselves. And as Troy was intimating earlier, they kind of say, all right, well, we need some kind of urban music, music here. We need a country song. We need a jazz song, whatever. And then they serve a full menu with a lot of rounded portions out there. And sometimes while they're having their judging chats that they get all misty-eyed for Steely Dan or Herbie Hancock or something, and then they and it's often for the veterans or Daft Punk, and then all of a sudden we end up seeing, some real rally here. So, any thoughts?
I'm not sure.
I'm just looking. If I was looking off the side, I was looking at the kind of the Grammy contender list that I have. Possibly Ed Sheeran. I mean, he's not. Never mind. He's not a veteran.
No, he's not a veteran.
No. Sure. I mean, Tom Petty.
I mean, they're always a surprise anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there necessarily is going to be a big surprise this year. I don't know. Maybe Beck could get an album of the year.
Right. That kind of thing could happen, right?
But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's probably going to surprise a lot of people.
Okay, Best New Artist is the one where you guys have majority disagreement. You're both betting on Sam Smith and Iggy Azalea. But after that, you've got a lot of disagreement. And starting with you, Troy, I don't even know who half of these people. Of course, I know who. Which list is yours? You've got Ariana Grande in there, right?
Oh, no, I don't have Ariana Grande.
Oh, that's Quintale. All right. So go through your list first, Troy, while I've got you, and tell us who these people are that you're picking for New Artist nominations.
Okay, I have Sam Smith. I think he's going to be the given. I might as well just engrave his name right now and hand it over. Iggy Azalea. I think she's had a great year. Kind of a breakout female hip hop artist. You really haven't had one kind of dominate for a long time. Nicki Minaj has kind of been the only one in the game for a while. So you kind of get kind of a new face in town, and I think she'll be recognized for that, bringing hip hop and a female artist kind of to the forefront there. This category, I don't know. The last three, I just kind of, to be honest with you, I just kind of threw them in there because
that's what the Grammys do.
Exactly. This is probably the most difficult category to ever predict. Like, who would have thought Esmeralda Spalding would have won?
Exactly.
I mean, come on. I don't know. So I just went with people that I thought were pretty safe choices. A Great Big World, I think that they're kind of a band that had the hit with Christina Aguilera. It was a decent sized hit. It's that kind of sappy pop song stuff that I don't know. I think would appeal to voters. And then Quintale's gonna hate me, but I put Magic in there as well, just because they had a #1 hit this year, broke out, kind of with a song that, like I said, kind of a throwback feel to it. First time I heard that song, I would have never guessed it went to #1. It was gonna go to #1. So I threw them in there, kind of as I think they might get a reward for having that kind of #1 song. I think we lost Quintale.
No, he's still there. And then his screen's just frozen. And then you've got St. Vincent as your fifth, right?
Yeah, I think she is kind of that eclectic type artist that, is just kind of out there, does kind of the eclectic stuff that's a little bit different than what everyone else is doing. Yeah, I know she's been around for a while, but this was her first sort of opportunity this year to get any recognition. Her album got pretty good reviews. I think that she could be kind of the dark horse that sneaks into the category. I don't have Ariana Grande. Just
why not?
To me, her voice is great. But I really, this is my personal opinion, obviously, I think she squanders her vocal talent on that teeny bop type crap. I always look back and because she gets compared to Mariah Carey constantly because of her vocal ability. But I look back at what Mariah Carey was doing when she was 19 years old, and she was singing songs like Vision of Love, Vanishing, stuff like that. And you have Ariana Grande singing, this crap, boom, 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 or bang, 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 or whatever the heck it's called, and stuff like that I don't think Grammy voters are going to necessarily feel that she's an artist, even though she has a great voice, that they're going to need to throw a Best New Artist nomination to. Look at Lorde last year. Lorde, won Song of the Year, won, pop vocal album, won, pop solo performance, didn't get nominated for Best New Artist. Same thing with Leona Lewis, another huge voiced, pop diva that got Record of the Year nominations, pop vocal nominations, but didn't get a Best New Artist nomination. And I think Ariana Grande is going to be looked at as being even more, I don't know what the word, teeny bopperish than.
Yeah, I get you. No, I see that. Okay. And then what do you think of his other choices? I think we've lost him for good here. He's not clicking back in.
I think so. Hopefully he comes back. Who were his other choices?
FKA Twigs and Haim.
Okay.
You don't even know what he's picking, some obscure stuff here, right?
I think so, because I've heard of it. I've heard of them, but I can't tell you any. I can't speak to their music.
Either can I. Don't apologize. God knows what these.
But I know that there's a lot of people in the forums that are wanting FKA Twigs to get a nomination. So I just have yet to actually listen to any of their stuff or her stuff. I don't even know. I mean, so I'm going to probably sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've not listened to their stuff, so I can't speak on it. I mean, they are possibly obscure enough to sneak in there. But you also have, your country, your kind of your breakthrough country artist.
Yeah.
Cole Swindle, who I think could surprise and take that kind of Hunter Hayes, token country slot there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, there's usually always a country artist nominated in Best New Artist, or a lot of times there is, because that's a huge voting block. So I could see a Cole Swindle getting in there. Let's go back to Album of the Year for a minute. I think Miranda Lambert possibly could end up with an Album of the Year for Platinum. Again, the country block is pretty strong, and that album has actually sold pretty well, gotten pretty good reviews. So I could see that. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, they got to have some country in the top.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Grammys don't really like her much, but I think maybe they might see it as an opportunity to finally, embrace her. I mean, I don't know. So, hey, Quintale.
Perfect, you're down. Okay, so we just ran through perfect timing. Run through these other nominees you've got for Best New Artist. Quintale. I don't even know what FKA Twigs is or Haim. Who are these people?
Okay, so with the Best New Artist category, I like to have a lot of fun. Like we all said, Sam Smith and Iggy Azalea are pretty much the locks, which I hate to use that word, but I'm going to use it. FKA Twigs, I found out she also has a lot of industry buzz going on. I have my notes on her. She's critically acclaimed. She has a song called 2 Weeks that's starting to do really well. People are talking about her. I believe she just booked the SNL, which is really huge for an indie act like her. She could be this year's Esperanza Spotty, the surprise nominee.
Okay.
Haim, I was forced to find a rock act. I mean, they're going to nominate an indie rock band, and their name keeps going around Go Derby and online and the festivals. So I just I can care less if I don't know.
What about a country act though? What about a country act? They usually like to nominate a country act. I think Cole Swindle possibly. Going to be the.
I thought about that, but I couldn't find it. There's no Hunter Hayes, Carrie Underwood, Zach Brown Band, Taylor's country breakout star this year. Best New Artist where we probably get the most flubs.
The closest I came to was Cole Swindle. I mean, I think, he's kind of the new country guy this year. He hasn't. I mean, he certainly hasn't had the popularity.
The CMA Awards. Did he get a nomination?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
But
well, that's fine.
I mean, I don't know. They usually like to throw in a country act in there, which is, and I mentioned this to Tom, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if Miranda Lambert gets an Album of the Year. For Platinum. The album just came out. It sold pretty well. It's gotten pretty good reviews. So I could see that happening possibly.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I will call it a long shot, but I wouldn't be too surprised if she got an Album of the Year.
No, not at all. I wouldn't either.
Because she got a Song of the Year for The House That Built Me.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. So this could be kind of their opportunity to finally completely embrace her, because they haven't been been very nice to her in terms of giving her wins and whatnot. So
it's extremely lucky. Now, on to Ariana Grande. Troy, here we go. I'm actually not too confident about predicting her, but I feel like Iggy Azalea, she's been killing it this year. Ariana Grande, love her or hate her, she's had an amazing summer. She's 3 songs in the top 10. Her album just debuted #1. She has the big voice, like Mariah and Christina, or people want to think that, of course. But you know, I'm not sold, but I wouldn't be surprised if we heard her name Grammy. The only thing I have going against her is that she's a teeny bopper. She's from Nickelodeon. She has a young fan base, and she's no Justin Bieber, but this year I think she broke through with her audience. People are starting to take her seriously now. Not me personally, but a lot of people are starting to take her seriously.
I think that they will. I think the whole teeny bopper image that she has is going to really hurt her. I had mentioned to Tom. I think if you look at people compare her to Mariah Carey constantly, but if you look at where Mariah Carey was singing when she was 19 years old versus what Ariana is doing, I mean, Mariah was singing "Vision of Love," "Vanishing," "Love Takes Time." Ariana is singing "Bang Bang Boom," whatever the hell that song is. So I don't know if they're going to necessarily, just because she has the voice, throw the nomination to her or the success. Because look at Leanne Lewis. Look at Lorde last year. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised, but I don't think she's a lock. I don't think she's a lock.
No, she's no lock at all. I really put a lot of thought into that. She's no lock at all.
No. And people want to say, oh, well, look at the Jonas Brothers. But, the Jonas Brothers, as teeny boppers they were, getting the nomination, I think they were definitely a more artistic band. They played instruments. I think that played a lot into their...
If you notice with the teeny boppers, they go with the male teeny boppers. Justin Bieber, Jonas Brothers. They've ignored Demi and Selena and Miley, who was probably huge at a time. So I mean, I can see her being snubbed, but
it'll be interesting to see. It really will.
Yeah. Troy, how did you do last year with your Grammy predictions in these categories?
Like you said, I'm trying to remember exactly what I had predicted last year. I didn't do as well as I wanted to do. I think everyone last year thought Justin Timberlake had Album of the Year locked up and sealed and signed, and I think when he was not nominated, that threw a huge wrench into everybody's predictions. So I honestly can't remember. I don't even remember if I predicted any of the winners correctly at all. I really don't.
I did much better with the winners.
Yeah, I mean, once the nominations came out, I thought, oh, okay, but they were just so out of left field last year. I think that sometimes it seems like maybe Grammy voters want to make sure, or at least the Blue Ribbon panel want to make sure certain artists don't win. Because if Justin Timberlake would have got the Album of the Year nomination, he probably would have won. Just like Lady Gaga, if she would have been nominated for Bad Romance for Record of the Year, which everyone predicted, she probably would have won.
They like that sometimes.
I don't know why they do that. I don't know.
So the question is, who can be that artist this year that they say, hey, you think you're the front runner? We're going to make sure someone else.
Beyonce.
No.
Beyonce. I will not be surprised if she does not get an Album of the Year nomination. I'm predicting it, obviously, but it's not. I'm not going to be surprised. I just think that I play the Justin Timberlake scenario over in my head, and it's not going to surprise me.
Beyonce's a big Grammy favorite than Justin Timberlake. I believe she's arguably more respected than Justin Timberlake. She's more likable. A lot of people weren't really too friendly with him last year. I don't get the Justin Timberlake with Beyonce. I mean, she has 18 Grammys, 19, 18. I lost count.
But I mean, he's won his fair share, and I think everyone, like I said, everyone was kind of all over him. He's gonna win. What may hurt Beyonce is if she gets nominated for Album of the Year, her daughter gets a nomination, and I can see the headlines saying Blue Ivy can possibly win a Grammy for Album of the Year because she's on Beyonce's album. That can hurt her extremely.
I'm looking at your predictions, Quintale, from last year. You got Daft Punk correct for Album of the Year. You got Lord correct for Song of the Year. I think I had picked Lord to win for Record 2. You went with her as well. You did not see Daft Punk winning there. And you picked Macklemore and Ryan, as I did, for New Artist. And excuse me, no, you picked Ed Sheeran for New Artist, and Macklemore won, of course. So
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm better with winners. The Best New Artist is the toughest category to predict every year. They throw some curveballs in there.
Yeah. I agree.
But by the way, everybody watching this, if you want to look at anybody's past predictions, in the gold menu bar on top of every page it says Find Users. Click that, type in somebody's username, if it's in the forums or if you happen to know it, or type in their real name. Sometimes it will find it that way. And if you just pull up the profile page for that user, along the left column you'll see their past predictions, and an archive button. Hit that, and you can look back on anybody's past predictions and what their predictions are in rows, and the actual winner is marked with a check mark. So you can always go back historically and see that. In the leaderboard section of the gold menu bar, we're about to add new leaderboards there. There's the super top 100 right now, where you can go back and see who was the top performers, but there will be more comprehensive leaderboards where you can find yourself in the rankings, completely, every single person who predicted something. Mm-hmm. All right, well, good. Well, let's wrap this up. This was great. Thank you. We will reconvene in a few weeks or months, or whatever. No, a few weeks, I guess, to see where we stand. Last question: are you guys excited about this year or bored, Quintale?
I'm very excited. It was a big year, but that's what makes it exciting with the nominations. You never know who they're going to go with this year. I'm excited to see if they nominate Frozen for Album of the Year, and I'm excited. We'll see what happens.
Are you pumped, Troy?
I am. I really do hope. I really hope that they throw some wrenches into these categories. I think right now you're seeing the same names repeated over and over for predictions. I really would be excited if they actually took a risk and threw some major wrenches into this whole thing to make it a little bit more interesting. Because right now I think you're gonna see a Sam Smith, domination.
Oh yeah, he'll be in there. But here's my firm prediction. You guys know this year's music better than I do. But here's my firm prediction, Troy, and that is you can count on the wrenches. When those nominations are going to come out, we're all going to be going, "What the fook? Holy, what did they do again?" And then
yes, indeed.
And then what goes in through their crazy minds when they pick winners. I'm sure all of you used to be much better predicting these things than I have been in the past few years. I'm a lot more out of touch than I used to be with the Grammys, but I think Hollywood's more crazy than ever. That's probably the bottom line. Anyway, thank you. That's where we're going to sign off. We will catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.
All right.